because a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of cities, we thought were going to be some great cities to go to. A lot of those one, they were like, they didn't get us, man. They looked at us like we were nuts. And we went to
Right.
Detroit, man, and it was like, it was instant love, you know? So,
So I heard the rumors as growing up. When you came to Detroit, did you see the loud suits with the matching gaiters, 50 different
oh,
colors
yeah.
of shades and suits?
Yeah, we saw
Okay,
all that, man. It was great. No, we loved it, man. We just it made us feel so at home because you never know when you're putting stuff out whether people are going to accept it or like it. And the fact that they embraced us, that was like the first place that we played too. There was like a really big show. We had done like a bunch of little
right.
shows and like in the South, like in little clubs and stuff. And that was like the first one we did. And I remember it was with Cameo and Shalimar. We were like the opening act. And I remember we went
Wow.
into The Stick was the first song we did. And I remember we went
Okay.
into just the drum beat at the beginning, and Morris was Spotlight hit Morris, and Morris was had his back to the audience and was combing his hair, and it
Yeah.
sounded like the Beatles had walked in or something. It was like all the girls were screaming. We were like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, okay, this is how this is supposed to be. Okay, so yeah, man, it was great.
Okay.
It was great.
Now, by me being a musician, I want to take it back to the beginning. One of my favorite songs that y'all produced is "Can You Stand the Rain," and I say that because I'm a shy person. So growing up in middle school, when they used to have the dances,
Hmm.
that was my go-to song.
Hmm.
I would literally, whoever the DJ was, I would get there early. Hey man, make sure you play that song because I don't know if y'all knew in creating this song, it's centered coming in around the drums. So as the drums was coming in, that was my cue to walk up to the girl I like. So I had literally about 2 bars to walk up to her, make my move. As soon as the song, boom, ooh, that was my chance to get my Mac on. So I appreciate y'all for adding those 2 bars of drums before the song actually started.
Oh, that's nice. They're good. I'm glad those got put to good use. I remember back.
Man,
I remember record labels back in that day. They wanted everything. Well, they still do. They want everything shorter, shorter, shorter. And I know it was one of those
right.
things where a lot of times we'd put like little intros on songs, and they'd be like, "Can we cut that down?" And I'm glad we left that in for a reason. I'm glad now to know what the reason was. So you could get the
Yeah,
girls, man. It gave you that cue. Like, here's my opportunity.
man.
That's good to know.
Yeah, my
That's
one
good to
shot.
know.
So back in those
Um,
days, I call it the golden era, the classic moments of music because it brought out the best creatively inside of you. It wasn't just about clicking and dragging like we do today with music. You actually had to know what you were doing. Talk about the first time you got a hold of the Lynn drum. I know that was iconic in music and how that helped shape your sound from a drum standpoint.
well, the Lindrum was pretty amazing, but I wasn't really the first one. I mean, my introduction to the Lindrum was really through Prince.
Wow.
Prince used it on all of the records. I mean, that obviously they didn't play live instruments on a lot of stuff back in the day, but when they started doing drum machine stuff, the Lindrum was like Prince's go-to. Like that was the one, and so that was our first experience of kind of doing that and learning what it was. There was another drum machine, the DMX, that we also used a lot of too, and then of course the 808, which we used like
Right.
on SOS band and that back in the day. So, but
Yeah.
we like the idea of being able to. I started off on drum as a drummer, and
Okay.
the reason I switched was two reasons. One was Terry's theory. When I met him, he said, um, you should be a keyboard player." And when I said why, and he said, "Because your dad plays keyboards." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I just was like, "Okay, cool. I'm with that." So I
Right.
ended up becoming
Right.
a keyboard player. But the other thing that happened was around that same time, Jelly Bean Johnson, who was the drummer in the time, um,
Right.
he was such a great drummer that like I was like, well, I can't compete with Jelly Bean, so I'll go ahead and switch to the keyboards and just do that. So drum machines always felt very familiar, like I kind of knew what I was doing on a drum machine. So that was cool. But yeah, we love those. we love using those different beats, and then we try to switch up sounds and do different things for different people so that everybody didn't sound the same. We always tried to switch up the sound. That was always one of our
Right.
things we always tried to do. Try to tailor make the songs for each of the artists.
Right. One concept that I love that you guys were very innovative in is replacing horns with synthesizers. When I grew up, Earth, Wind, and Fire and James Brown, different bands, they had horn sections. And you
Yep.
guys, in my opinion, that was my first time seeing a band where I felt like I was hearing horns, but I got that smooth, sound of the synths. Because anybody knows if you got a keyboard, there's a pitch bender on there, but there's also another wheel on there that if you move that wheel up, it adds an effect to the synth that just, man, it's just like heaven when you play it right. And you guys were my first visual of seeing that. And I'm like, okay, I'm broke. I want to put a band together. I can't get horns, so let me just beg my mom for a second keyboard, and I'll use that.
Well, what's funny about that is that, I give a lot of that credit to Prince, because back in the day, we didn't really have a lot of horn bands, but Terry in Flight Time, his band, they did have horns for a long time. They had a big horn section and did that, back in the Parliament Funkadelic days or the Cameo days and that. I mean, those bands all had big horns. But Prince's concept was always, to use the synthesizers as like horns. But if you think about synthesizers back in that day, a lot of times people would use synthesizers, and we used to just say more for like just effects, right? Like there'd be like weird sounds, like woo, 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 like it'd be all kind of weird stuff. And Prince was the one that really showed us how to make synthesizers be musical. And so the idea of using them for horns and stuff, and even when we put Flight Time together before the time, Terry's whole thing was, man, it was usually bands had one keyboard player. And Terry was like, no, we need two keyboard players. That's going to be the new thing. So Terry kind of knew, Prince kind of knew that was going to be the way that it went. And it was cool. And you're right, economically, definitely was make it a little better because you had to split the money amongst everybody. So
Right.
if you had a 9-piece band with horns and then you could have a 6-piece band instead, it was like, okay, cool. That makes it a little bit easier. So economics definitely plays a part in those kinds of decisions.
Right, most definitely, man. And like I said, for young cats like me as a musician, man, that was my first visualization of seeing you guys rocking the synthesizers. And man, I said, look, I'm young, but I swore in my mind, let me be the little Michael of the band one day. Let me get the tambourine or something. But definitely a heavily influence on my music and my, what I choose to do with my music. Man, you just don't know how excited I am to be on this line. It's when I was growing up, I had a lot of friends, and I used to tell them, like, you got to do something with your life. You gotta start young on saying what you want to do. And I used to always tell people, like, everybody that I watched on TV growing up, I said one day I'm gonna meet these people, and people laughed at me. They was like, "Oh man, that's impossible." And I'm like, this is a living witness that nothing is impossible. So any child that's watching this, I hope this inspires you to never give up on your dreams. To always know that if you work hard and you keep a positive mind mentality and you stay focused, you can achieve anything you want to achieve. Dreams can come true. I'm a living witness. I'm sitting right here with my main man, Jimmy Jam, legendary. Listen, I got so many questions, so many stories. Okay, I see Terry in the building.
Yeah, got in the building, man.
How you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. Sorry to be late, but I was one number off.
Man, it's all good. It's better late than never. That's what I say.
Well, yeah.
That's right. And no matter what, Terry Lewis, you're always on time.
That's
all
right.
the time. Man, we got two living legends in the building, man. They have created so many hits, probably one of the reasons why I'm even here today, because my mom made sure that every record y'all produced, I listened to in the house. It was non-negotiable. We listened to that music on a daily. We studied it, broke it down, and that's what we live by. So, man, this is an honor. Mr. Terry Lewis, how you doing?
Abner, I'm great, man. How are you doing, brother?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. And I was just telling your brother, I call y'all brothers, not business partners, brothers, because that's what y'all always showed me, that y'all were brothers. I was just telling them that growing up where I'm from, you see a lot of bad things. And I used to tell young people around me, even at the age of 6, I said, man, look, this is what I want to do. I want to meet the people that I see on TV, and one day I'm going to achieve that dream. And they laughed at me. And I'm like, look at me now. So I say that to the young people out there again. I'm gonna reiterate this. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't achieve your dreams. If you keep a positive mind mentality, you work hard and do good by people, you can do whatever you want to do in life and you can go where you want to go.
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Man, so I was talking to Mr. Jimmy Jam about synthesizers and how economically it was cost efficient to introduce that into the world. And, you know, growing up, we didn't have a lot of money when we wanted to put bands together. So not having a horn section, synthesizers played a major part. And he did give you credit, you know, as, you know, being innovative in that and bringing that idea to him. So let me ask you a question. What was your approach to when you met Jimmy Jam? Like, how did you say, man, look, we're going to get together. We're going to do this. We're going to make history.
No, man, it wasn't that deep, man. When I met Jimmy Jam, actually Jimmy was a drummer and I didn't
Right.
know that either, but I saw my brother. He was, we were in a program called Upward Bound, and I saw him like in the lunchroom playing to some girls, and I was just like fledgling in the music. I was just getting into music, and I was hanging out because I always hung out with the athletes because I was an athlete. So some of us had already started like a little band. So when I saw Jam, he was playing piano in the lunchroom.
Wow.
And I was like, yo, man, we need a piano player. And so, you know, I approached him about that. And he said, well, I'm a drummer. I said, well, I got a drummer, you know, and, you know, I found out his father played keyboards, and I said, hey, man, you could play keyboards if your dad plays keyboards. And because I saw him playing anyway, so it wasn't like a big stretch for me. So we kept getting together over time. And we ended up at the end of that session of school playing a little gig. And from then on, we became just great friends. And we were in rival bands over the years, but I would always ask him to play on a lot of stuff that we were doing. Because as you know, if you're a musician and you're trying to create music, it's always hard to find musicians, you know, that you can vibe with. So we tried, and he came from more of a pop sensibility. I came from the funk. I'm the funk guy, R&B, real hardcore. So for a while, when we tried to write songs and stuff together, we would clash a little bit. But when we finally got together and we did the SOS band, it just happened, man.
Right.
It just worked. So it was, the magic was there in terms of us personally, but musically we had to actually do the work, you know. And then being in the time, it just made it all just much simpler because every day that's all we did. We would practice and rehearse all day long, and then when we go home, change clothes, take a bath, and hit the streets and go out and party and sit in places and just keep playing. We just played every day. That's all we did.
Right. Okay. And I was telling Mr. Jimmy Jam, one of the things that y'all did that helped me out, and a lot of brothers my age, is the way y'all came in with them songs. You know, the drums came in solo, like Tell Me If You Care. That gave me time to put my little Mac on with the females because I was a shy guy. So I danced my little way over because I knew I had about 2 to 4 bars before that song came in to go on make my little move. So by the time the song dropped, I'm lip singing. And by then I had them. So I want to thank y'all for that. That helped us a lot of little young brothers out, you know, down there with the women. Before we get into current music, one question I do want to ask, Janet Jackson's music, man, y'all, when I tell you, man, Control, that bass line, man, one of the sickest. It's simple if you think about it, but it's so I mean, like that syncopation with the simplicity of the bass, man. I mean, without giving the secrets away, because I know everybody has their secret things they do to get in the zone when they're creating a song. What was going through you guys' mind when you said, I'm finna sit down and I'm finna make Control? Like it's
Wow. So that was 35 years ago. This is actually
right.
the 35th anniversary of the Control album. So it's
Still
kind of fuzzy, but no, but what we really set out to do with Janet overall was we wanted her to have a lot of attitude and a lot of we thought that that was the thing that was missing from the first two albums that she did. It wasn't that they weren't good.
Right.
It was just that attitude that she had as a little girl. She always had such an attitude about her, and we felt like that was missing in those records. So we wanted to try to bring that back. And we thought one of the ways we could do that was have her sing about things that mattered to her. And what mattered to her lyrically at that point was the fact that she was moving out of her house. She was kind of taking control of her life. So that became kind of the theme. And then we tried to create music that was really aggressive. The female artists that were out at that time were, you know, Patti LaBelle and Anita Baker. And the records tended to be a lot more soft. So we thought if we could come out with something that was really aggressive, almost more like what a male artist would do, those kinds of tracks, that she could handle that with the attitude that she had. And that was kind of the magic potion. And on Control, you know, it started with the Lindrum, as we talked about earlier. The Lindrum was the kind of the basis of the beat of the whole thing. And the interesting thing, you talk about the bass on that song. The funny thing is the bass isn't really a bass sound. It's actually like a kind of a clavinet type. I don't even know what, I can't remember what I even used back in that day, but it's not like an actual, what you would think of as a bass sound, you know? And, but it turned out, obviously it turned out really well. And, you know, it really set the tone for what the record ended up being. And all of the songs on there, if you think about Nasty, Nasty doesn't really have what you would call a typical bass part on it. But then a song like When I Think of You, the bass line is very, you know, doom, 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 doom. It's like very melodic.
Yeah.
So I think we tried to just do a little bit of everything. And Janet is one of those artists where she can do so many things. She doesn't really have weaknesses to me. So it's really about creating just the best things you can do without constraints of, oh, it's too fast, it's too slow, it's too rock, it's too funky, it's too pretty. She can do it all. And so as a creative person, man, that's the best thing you could ever have, is have an artist that it's like, you tell them, like Nasty, will you do a song like Nasty? And I remember when she started singing it, she was singing it like in the octave where she would normally sing, like sitting in the movie show, or like up there. And we were like, why don't you try singing it like an octave lower? And she was like, sitting in the movie. She said, that sounds weird. And I said, yeah, but try it. Let's see how it comes out. And that's what she ended up doing. And of course, sang with all the attitude. So those are the kinds of things, man, that it's inspiration, man. It's just that you have an artist that inspires you and you just come up with stuff. And then they get to trust you. When the results come out cool, then they trust you. And then it's like, whatever you throw at them, it's like, okay, they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So that's always been our relationship with Janet. And that, you know, that relationship, you know, like I say, goes back 35 years. So it worked out really well for us.
Man, iconic work. Let's fast forward a little bit to today. You got a new single out, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Babyface. I love the record. I love the fact that how y'all came together, giants in the industry, showing once again, you know, love and unity. And I think that's something that we need to pull back in today's music, that it's okay. You can have your lane and do your thing. The other person over here can do their thing, but yeah, we can still come together and continue to spread that love. The new single y'all got, He Don't Know Nothing About It. Talk about how y'all decided to come together for that record.
Well, I'll first start by saying that as brothers, we are never afraid to show our love and respect for people, man. Like, we love Babyface, we love his work, we're fans. And so first we bow down to whatever that is first, and humble ourselves,
right.
just know that we respect his work. And then he's just a cool dude, man. He's just cool. And you know, I have a thing, you know, as I get older in age, about hang factor. I just like to be around people I like to be around. You know, I say I love
Right.
people, I just don't like a lot of them sometimes. So it's,
Yep.
you know, is so Babyface is one of those people that I actually love, and I like him too. So he's really easy to be around. So we just, over the years, man, we would get together and we talk. We would, you know, I guess share battle scars, you know, because we do the same thing. and we just became friends. And after a long time, man, you know, if you can't beat them, you better join them, because, you know, really not in competition with each other. The only person that you're in competition with all the time that you're doing music is yourself. You're trying to make the best music you can possibly make for that time. You're only as good as your next record. So you better get on it and don't worry about what you did yesterday, because that score doesn't count today. So we became good friends, and we decided, hey, man, let's get together and do something. And the result is what you hear now.
Yes.
And can I just make a distinction? Just so the listeners all get it right. He don't know nothing about it. There's no about. It's he don't know nothing about it.
About it.
No about, just about. He don't know nothing about.
Yeah, y'all know about that.
About it.
Yeah.
Don't act like you don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all know about that.
What advice would you give? What advice would y'all give to somebody that's trying to break into the business in today's time? You know, living in a digital world where everything is so accessible. Everybody now has a home recording studio. What advice would you give to an up and coming artist?
I don't know. I would start by saying just love the music. Like, we're in an era right now where there's so many people playing the game, ain't nobody in the stands anymore. So because it's so easy to access the music, so a lot of people don't understand the work that you have to put in to be good at what you do, because you can get the chords off of an app, or you can have a drum machine that's play any drum beat for you or whatever. And a lot of people don't want to put the work in. But if you want to be good at whatever you do, you have to put the work in. We grew up in a time where, we grew up in the first era of our lives, there were no synthesizers. So you had to have at least some technique of how to play something. And then the other technique that you had to learn was how to perform with someone else, because you couldn't be at home and play the drums, the bass, the keys, and everybody by themselves. You know, you had to have everyone else there with you. So you had to have a drummer. So you had to know how to communicate with him. So you had to have a keyboard player or a bass player. And then you had to learn how to communicate with the vocalist, which is always probably, for most people, the hardest thing to do in production, is to get that vocal down and make it right. So, you know, those are some of the crafts that you have to learn. But first, you got to love the music, because you got to love the music to want to put that kind of work in to learn those things.
Yeah, and I would say my thing that I would also then add to that is, I think that it doesn't matter really whether it's the days of demo tapes or whether it's the days of streaming or whatever it is. It's just be prepared. And when I say be prepared, the idea is that whenever we meet people or talk to people, they will always say or use the terminology, I'm waiting for my break, or I'm waiting for somebody to put me on, or I'm waiting for whatever. And we always say, let's substitute the word waiting with the word preparing, because everything that you're doing is leading you to whatever that goal is that you have. So if you don't say I'm waiting for something to happen, no, you're preparing for something to happen. So that when Terry Lewis called me and said, hey, I need a keyboard player in the band, and I'm like, I'm a drummer, and Terry said, I got a drummer, I need a keyboard player. Well, you know what? I was prepared to play keyboards because I'd been doing that, and it's a good thing I was, or else we wouldn't be talking right now. So I think we all go through, in your life, I think you always go through moments like that. But the preparation that goes into it, to me, is very important. And as Terry said at the beginning, the love of it, first of all, too, is you got to love the music. You got to do, because you have to put up with people criticizing you, with people telling you you're not going to make it, with all of those types of things. But if you believe in yourself and that is what you want to do, Terry and I always feel like music is our oxygen. It's not something we do. It's like something we are. It's what we breathe. It's like our food, like our water, like our oxygen. That's the way music is for us. So even if we were doing it unsuccessfully, I guess on a level of, you know, how people judge success, the fact that we're able to do it is a success within itself. So I think you have to have that attitude towards it. So, but definitely use the resources that are out there, right? There's so many ways to get information. Listening to the radio show right now is informational to people. Our conversation is going to touch somebody in some sort of way. Maybe we're saying something in a way they haven't heard it, or maybe it's a piece of advice that they're hearing, or maybe a song that they'll go listen to that they didn't know existed before. So all of those things, once again, goes into the preparation to do what you want to do, and then just enjoy the journey while you're on it. Terry always says we never want to reach the destination because we enjoy the journey so much. And that is part of what it is. That's why it's taken us so long to get an album out, because we enjoy the journey of making the album so much.
Right. Man, some great advice, man. I tell everybody out there, man, listen to these words. It will help you get to where you're trying to go. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I just want to, first of all, man, thank y'all again for even coming on, for agreeing to do this interview. This is going to touch a lot of people, especially I'm here in Memphis now. And one thing I'm working on building right now is a vocational school for media and arts. They cut a lot of funding for programs here dealing with music and VOTech. And that's my goal. We have a little small office space right now that we set up radio equipment, but our goal is to be able to add that back to Memphis City Schools, which was now called Shelby County Schools, and to give students a chance to come in here and learn about radio, learn about instruments, and learn about how cameras and TV work. I think that's something that's really needed in our city. And I think there's a guy here, and you may not know him, but it's a guy by the name of Liddell Beeman. He has an organization called Heal the Hood, where he's actually out in the hood, and he does some amazing things in the hood, not just, beating down, but uplifting. They go to schools and they speak about gang violence, and Christmas time they give out toys, and Thanksgiving they give out things to help families. So that's the kind of things that we're anchored in, and I definitely appreciate you guys for lending your time. And it's an honor again, man. I got to say that, just to talk to you guys. And if you never hear me again, just know that we're out here in the community. This is what we're anchored in, and it's not about money with us. Like, we literally just have a heart to want to see, kids have the same opportunities that I had. Instruments saved my life. That kept me from getting into bad things. So we want to pass that on to generations that come after us.
Yeah, well, just know that we're here to help. Like, if you're building something, put us on. Let us help you. Whenever you talk about community and actually you're in your community being a leader and you need some help, hey, we're here. Like, we have access to other people. Actually, I was just talking to some people yesterday about, passing through some things to communities. And we need the kids to get into music and get off them streets, because music is it opens up another side of your life, opens up another side of your brain, and your soul, because, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And music is that thing that can permeate all of that. And whenever there's something bad that happens in the world, music is the first thing to rescue us. When we went inside and we're locked down in a pandemic, what did everybody do? They started listening to music.
Right.
When there's the locusts come and eat up all the crops on the farm, what happens? We do Farm Aid, we do a concert, and we heal it. And when with famine in Africa, we put out a song. Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and Quincy put out a song and bring everybody in to collaborate, and We Are the World is born. Music is always there to heal. And that's what we should all be trying to do, especially in this turbulent time right now.
Right. Well, y'all heard it first right here, man. This is the one and only man, the kid they call XP, man. Again, man, I want to thank my special guest, man, Mr. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, man, for taking time out their busy schedule just to sit down and have some words of encouragement, man, and let us know that they still got it. Y'all go get that single featuring Babyface. He don't know nothing about it. I got it right this time.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all go stream that single, buy it, download it, man. Continue to support these guys. And man, I'm just excited to see what y'all come with next. I'm on standby waiting, because I know y'all still got some heat tucked away that y'all.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of heat, man.
I already know.
And we bring in other folks too. Right now, we just today dropped a new Stokely Williams record.
Woo!
Stokely Records called Cascade. So check that out.
Man, that's right, man. Follow them on social media. I know y'all sleeping if you ain't already. I follow you guys on social media. And that's it, man. We getting ready to get out of here, man. Thank y'all again, man. Go get that record. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Babyface. I am the one and only the Kid XP, man. Y'all holler at me. Peace.